Hey, so I want to wrap a little bit about, so firstly, just a couple things. First, on the organic nature of my videos. Um, I don't use a video editor. I just try to make good content and not edit. That's not a snarky thing. And that came out sounding snarky. It's not a snarky thing. I just like to not be edited. And I feel like if things are more organic, it's more conducive to having a conversation, which is ultimately what I would like this to be, is a conversation. Maybe I'm naive. I don't know, but I would just like a conversation. At any rate, excuse me. Just a second thing, and this is kind of stupid, but on the email I use, MattsMyriadMusings@gmail.com. That's because my name is Matt, as I think I mentioned, and that was going to be the original name of this channel. But I really like the Frank Dell name, and it's just a fun pseudonym to go under, and I dig it. Is that all? Third thing, I just want to do a quick little addendum to my video about freedom being the best value. That was the word I had used. That was by no way suggesting that you can't have other values or virtues. And I think I said this in the video, but what I was getting at was that freedom is the best driving value. If you want to boil yourself down to one core virtue, one core value, that should be freedom. I was thinking about this the other day. We don't go outside without clothes on. Like, we have the freedom to go outside without clothes on. I mean, we have the moral freedom to go outside without clothes on, right? But we also, our morality teaches us that, yeah, you might have the freedom to do it, but it's uncomfortable as shit because you have everyone staring at you. And B, how moral is it really? See, now I just contradicted myself. I apologize. But it's not. So, because you're infringing on someone else's right to walk down the street without seeing your naked fat ass. So again, you own yourself, but at that point, if you're walking naked, now you're forcing everyone else to own you and look at your naked fat ass. So I was by no way suggesting that freedom is the only value to hold. What I was suggesting, however, was that freedom is the best value. To boil yourself down to one value, it might as well be freedom. Because you own yourself, and you have to fall asleep with yourself at night, and you might as well do so knowing that you stay true to yourself. So, having said that, it's a good segue into this video, which is I just wanted to wrap a little bit about why exactly you should not give a fuck about what other people think of you. Now, you might notice my brows are gone, my hair is gone, my facial hair is gone. There's a certain person, the same regressive tribalist I've talked about, who is very insulted by this. Which I think is hilarious. But that's not what I'm here to talk. What I'm here to talk about is why exactly you shouldn't give a fuck about what other people think of you. If I gave a fuck about what everyone thought about me, I wouldn't have studied Malcolm X or all of Black history for that matter. I wouldn't be digging Buddhism. Wouldn't listen to the music I listen to. I'd be robbing myself of myself. And why is that myself? Well, that's a good question. That's just stuff that I dig. I dig funky music. Why? Because I do. So again, that goes back to this whole fucking, oh, I'm sorry, you got to stay in your corner, white boy. You got to stick to your tribe. Like, the world belongs to everyone. How fucking selfish and arrogant are you? But we've already kind of touched on that. But it's just absolutely asinine. Like, I was reading the other day, apparently in some forms of Buddhism, they wear dreadlocks. So this whole fucking, it's so arrogant of someone to say, oh, dreadlocks, that belongs only to black people. Only black people can wear dreadlocks. When it's been around in Buddhism since, before Africa was even colonized. or before Africa was even discovered by the rest of the world, if you like. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so like again, this whole fucking, oh, you need to just stay in your corner, and like, well, that's bullshit. And it's bullshit because the world belongs to everyone. And now at this point I'm kind of repeating myself because I've already said this, but it does bear repeating. And that's, why would you restrict yourself? I had nothing I was going to say. Oh, yeah. And I think I said this too in my other video on the absurdity of life. Bald head. Oh, well, that bald-headed, like, if you're a white man and you have a bald head, then you're deemed a skinhead. And it's like, no, I could be a Buddhist. You don't fucking know. Why can white people not... Why is it an issue for white people to have a shaved head? That's a skinhead. The funny thing is that originated in, if I'm not mistaken, in Britain. But here in the Americas, we've adopted that. So we've culturally appropriated the British skinheads. And yet black people can wear a shaved head, and that's fine. And that's a funny thing about, and I wanted to get, I'll touch on this in another video. Now I'm rambling. But I will touch on this in another video. But this whole Google thing, this guy got fired for, citing biological fact that men and women are different. It's like, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are different. And that's okay. That's beautiful. It's funny. It's hilarious. Like I said, it's hilarious that a white guy is a skinhead, but a black guy is not. And that all goes to context. And, I mean, so I don't get upset if I get looks because I know the scene. This is what, obviously, I signed up for. And, I mean, if someone doesn't want to get to know me, then that's their loss. I know what image some people have, but that's their own ignorance. Just like it's the same way that if a black male is walking down the street and someone crosses the street, first of all, you have to, again, this goes to intent, which I discuss at length in another video, actually. You'd have to know that that person's intent was crossing the street because a black person is here and because that person hates black people. Maybe they're crossing the street because, statistically speaking, young black males, that's the scenario here, young black male walking across the street, young black males, we know, just have a higher crime rate. Does that make it acceptable for that person to assume that you're going to be one of those statistics that's going to, shank her or whatever the fuck? No, that doesn't make it acceptable, but it makes it a numbers game. And it doesn't make her a racist. It just makes it a numbers game. You shouldn't be mad at her. You shouldn't be mad at Evil Whitey. You should be mad at the motherfuckers who are committing crimes in your demographic contributing to everything. But at any rate, now I'm straying. But you shouldn't give a fuck. Like, so that lady in that scenario, that lady who crosses the street, she shouldn't give a fuck what that person who sees her cross the street thinks of her. Because ultimately, he is going to think whatever he is going to think anyways. So even if she crossed the street because that's where she lives, or because she just wanted to cross the street because the sun was in her fucking face, or whatever, even if that was the reason, and not, oh, black male, more likely to be victimized, especially if I'm a black woman, so let me cross the street. Yeah, fun fact. As a black woman, you're more likely to be victimized of a violent crime by a black male than any white man, including police officers. Same with black female. The same goes for black males as well as black females. More likely to be victimized by a black male. At any rate, see, aren't statistics, aren't facts fun? It's like, Dick, if I watched a lot of cartoons growing up where a piano fell on a guy's head when he was walking on the sidewalk, I could spend my whole life scared to death of a piano falling on me walking on the sidewalk. But it's not real. It's not a statistic that happens, right? So it makes no damn sense. And so this goes into fantasy and reality and the fiction of media, and we'll discuss that another time. But so in this scenario, the woman who crossed the street, ultimately, that person who saw across the street is going to think whatever he's going to think about her anyways. Why? Because he owns himself. Even if, well, I was going to say, well, let me say it now. Even if she says to him, I'm crossing the street because this is where I live. First of all, if a motherfucker did that to me, I certainly wouldn't believe him. I'd be like, okay, you fucking freak. Like, what are you telling me that for? Like, what the fuck do I care what you're crossing the street for? Like I said, so like, if a black person crossed the street because they saw I had a shaved head, and then they yelled at me, I'm crossing the street because I live here. Would I believe him? I don't know if I would believe him. But I wouldn't even give a fuck because I'd just be like, okay, dude, whatever. Like, what control do I have over what that person does? And what control do they have over my thoughts on their actions? The answer is none. Nobody has any control over anybody. Everybody owns themselves. That goes back to libertarian ethics, which I will make another video getting really, really into at some point. But so concerning yourself with what other people think of you is utter nonsense. Because even if you tell them, even if you send them a little packet with, you know, guidelines and say, okay, whenever you hear me say something like this, you just know that I don't mean any harm by it. They're going to think that anyway. In fact, they'll probably think it more so because you sent them a little packet, right? Like, this motherfucker spent all this time typing some shit out. Man, maybe he got something to hide. Now I'm thinking, imagine if you did that on a first date with some, especially me as a straight white male with a shaved head. If I did that every time I saw a black chick, I just had a little pamphlet typed up, just explaining my very Lenny Bruce attitude towards things. They'd be like, man, what is this deal? And ultimately, I mean, look, I'm not saying don't care about what other people think about you, because that's an absolute. See, this is the problem with human speech and thought sometimes, is that we do get stuck in absolutes. And that was necessary at a time, and certainly is necessary still at times. But the world is shades of gray. This is what so many people, particularly on the big L left, don't seem to understand, is that the world is shades of gray. And shit, where was I going with that? Fuck, where was I going with that? Oh, you're right. So the world is shades of gray. So it doesn't make any difference. That's what I was going to say. So I'm not saying don't care about what anyone thinks about you, because that's a fallacy and that's an absolute. B, it's impossible. But C, I mean, of course, how other people view you does inform some of our behavior, whether we want it to or not. Both as far as the state is concerned and as far as private entities are concerned, be that companies or citizens, right? If you tell a customer to go fuck himself, guess what? You're probably not going to have a job there any longer. So you can not give a fuck, but now you're out on your ass because you told the customer to go fuck himself. And of course that's your right, but it's also the company's right to fire your ass, because that's not how we talk to people. Because that's that's just not how we talk to people. Excuse me, can I get extra ketchup? Go fuck yourself. Oh, fuck you too, motherfucker. Hell yeah, you'd get fired. So I'm not saying don't care about what people think. What I'm saying though is ultimately, and I know this is nothing profound, but ultimately, you have the final say over yourself, because, once again, you own yourself. So, like, if a motherfucker wants to say, oh, don't shave your eyebrows and head. First of all, it's just the classic little kid thing, right? Don't do that. Okay, now I'm going to do it. Like, that's always been my nature. Like, whenever someone tells me not to do something, that just heightens my desire to do it all the more. But that's never why I do something. I just spoke in absolute. I apologize. I won't say never. I mean, of course, there are times we do things just to piss people off. But I try my best to never let that be my intention, my driving force of an action. And I mean, if I shave my head just to piss someone off, man, that says more about me than it does about them. And like, damn, like why would I walk around like this just to piss someone off? No. I did this because I wanted to. And ultimately, I'd not be being true to myself if I let this person rob me of doing that by saying, oh, don't walk around like that. So it's, oh, okay. Can I go to the bathroom now? Like, you know what I'm saying? So let what you think of yourself drive yourself. Because ultimately, you're the one who has to go to sleep with yourself at night. And it's going to be much easier to go to sleep with yourself at night knowing that you were true to yourself today. You did what you wanted to do, said what you wanted to say, didn't censor yourself, didn't modify your looks for what anyone else wanted. You did what you wanted. Anyways, that's all for now. I do have a few more videos planned, but I did want to do this one, and it was rather off the cuff, but I did want to do this one. So, rate, comment, subscribe, like, and, you know, send me money and whatever the fuck, all that other shit. I will set up a what's it called, a Patreon page at some point. Not that anyone watches these things anyway, but anyways, that is all for now. I will upload a few more videos this week, definitely, probably even 1 or 2 more today. At any rate, that's it for now. Frank Del Dina Satire. Until next time, stay tuned.